What did you guys think about the Omega releases? Please let me know in the comments below. Let me know what your favorite release was and what you didn't like about this release. So I'm gonna start right off the bat with the Planet Ocean Ultra Deep. This is my favorite release, and I'm gonna tell you why. The original Ultra Deep was released in 2019, not for the public though, but it completed the deepest dive ever alongside the explorer Victor Vescovo. And it reached a depth of 35,876 feet or 10,935 meters. It's about 200 meters more than James Cameron's Rolex Deep Sea in 2012. And it reached that depth into the Mariana Trench, which is the deepest trench in the ocean. It was such a big watch, pressure tested at 15,000 meters, 52 millimeter diameter, and it was 28 millimeters thick, so it was never released to the public. But in 2022, the Ultra Deep became a civilian watch. 45.5 millimeter diameter, 18.12 millimeter thickness. It's a little bigger than the new Rolex Deep Sea, but it has a much bigger depth rating of 6,000 meters. Why do I love this release so much? Well, it's thinner than the current Planet Ocean chronograph. That's crazy to me, especially for the 6,000 meter rating, depth rating. I know some people will say, why do you need 6,000 meters? Guys, this is not the Planet Ocean, okay? They're going to release the Planet Ocean. This is more of a novelty. And what they're doing, what Omega's doing here is they're just flexing their muscles. They're saying, hey, F it, we're gonna have fun with this, okay? But let's go behind the dimensions of this watch. They added the crown guards that you see on the Seamaster Diver. They're trying to make their Seamaster lineup a little more coherent, and by adding the similar crown guards, I think was a really good move. And it looks great on this watch. It adds a little more robustness. They tried to balance out the addition of the crown guards by taking out the helium escape valve. I'm a big fan of the helium escape valve in the original Seamaster Diver, but for the Planet Ocean, it's such a big and busy watch that it looks great without it. Master stroke accomplished. Another great thing that they added was the white gold index markers handset. Instead of a ceramic dial, a lacquer dial. The lacquer dials are painted, but they allow the white gold to contrast a little more. And I really like that. So when you see the videos, I mean, you can tell that there's so much contrast there. You can get them in a gradient blue black or a gradient gray black, or you can get it in all white. So you can get it in two different types of metal, the Omega Steel, their new proprietary metal blend, or titanium grade 5. But this Omega Steel is my favorite thing about the Omega 2022 release. And I really hope that they add Omega Steel in all their sport lineups in the future. Why? Here's why. It is whiter and shinier than Rolex's 906L steel, which its 906L steel is made for anti-corrosive properties. It's a little, it's very it's not as scratch resistant as regular 316L steel, which most watches use, but it does have a wider shine to it, which is why Rolex, kind of appears a little more elegant to some people. But this Omega Steel has more white shine to it. And I think it looks brilliant in the promo videos and photos that I've seen. It has twice the yield strength of regular 316L steel. So it has 560 megapascal, allows the watch to be 40% more scratch resistant than regular 316L steel. Not only is it whiter, shinier, it's also more scratch resistant. So yes, that's the best thing I've seen so far. I love the new clasp. The clasp is more flush with the bracelet, so it doesn't have this hole and it jets out in the bottom, making it difficult to slide under the cuff. This watch is not sliding under any cuff, let's be real here. But the bezel is more, or the clasp is more flush with the bracelet, and I hope to see this clasp in more sport watches from Omega. The newly defined coin edge bezel. They completely took it back to the drawing room, and it's a little more integrated with the actual bezel case itself. I think it looks great. So quickly, just addressing the criticisms, guys, this is not the Planet Ocean. I'm sure they're gonna release a Planet Ocean that's thinner, has a smaller depth rating, and I really hope that it does come with the Omega Steel, that it does come with this design. This design is fantastic if it was thinner. So let's hope that that comes down the pipe real soon. It's also a lot cheaper than the Rolex Deep Sea 44mm that just released. This watch is $11,600 and it's available. So I think it'll be a big sell for a lot of those people that like technical specs. The Green Seamaster Diver 300 just released also, and I think that they got the green just right. I have yet to see it in person, but this green is done well. And I know people call it the seaweed green, or they call it a murky sewer green, but when you see the watch in different lighting from some of the videos I've seen, it goes from almost black to very bright green. So it has a range of colors that it encapsulates. And for the most part, it looks like it's on the darker side of the spectrum, which is more of an elegant and formal color than, let's say, the Hulk. As much as everyone wants the Hulk, and I do like the Hulk from Rolex. This is gonna be a more elegant and formal watch than some of the other brighter greens on the market. So yeah, I think this is a sleeper, but you're gonna see a lot of people buy this watch, and it looks great on the green rubber strap. The other releases that I really like from Omega include the Aqua Terra. I know this one is one of the biggest criticisms from their releases because it seems like they're copying the Rolex Oyster Perpetuals, and to an extent, they kind of are. They see that there's a market to penetrate with this release, so it comes in 34mm and 38mm, and they completely took away the teak gradient dial. Teak dial, sorry. The teak dial was very popular because it was the abstract form of the decks of a sailboat. Now it's just a sunburst style, which is what the Aqua Terra was originally. It came with a sunburst style. They went back to it, and they released it with 5 new colors. For the 38mm models, we have Atlantic Blue, Bay Green, Sandstone, Saffron, and Terracotta. My 2 favorite being the Saffron and the Terracotta. I think those colors are very vibrant and beautiful. They have an applied Omega logo, no accent coloring on the seconds hand or on the Seamaster, and it's just a very classic, simple watch. I really like it. I agree with the criticisms that the date window should have been color matched with the dial itself. And I do hear that the dial went through some special it went through a special coloring process, and I don't have much information on that yet, but I think that's fascinating. They also redesigned the bracelet, and now it's not a flat link bracelet, it's more of a president bracelet from Rolex. It has more rounded links, and this was a good move by them. Yeah, it looks a little like the Oyster Perpetual, but the watch itself is very rounded with the twisted lugs and all that. And so I think the rounded links really kind of play on that design. Last but not least, the other release that I really like is the new Moonwatch with Moonshine gold and a green PVD dial and bezel. So I really, really like this color combination. Their Moonshine gold looks fantastic. They say that they took this gold and they gained inspiration from it, from how the moon shines in the night sky when the sun hits it in the right angle. Sure, I mean, I do like the gold. You guys know I'm a yellow gold fan. This one's a little lighter than that. But what I like is the green that they use in the dial, in the bezel. It's a darker green. It has a little bit of like a brush pattern. I have to see it in person. It looks like the dial has a bit of a brush pattern, but that color combination between this dark forest British racing green and the Moonshine gold is beautiful. And wow, I mean, the price at retail is $34,800. So for those who can afford it, that's a beautiful watch. And no one's gonna think it's a Moonswatch. Anyways, what would I give the Rolex Release? I'm gonna say this is an 8 out of 10. This is a great release. I think they did some really good things. I think they harbored a lot of criticism, but I think it's been the best release of 2022 so far. That's why I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. It would be higher if they also released the Planet Ocean lineup in this at the same time. I think they will be releasing the Planet Ocean soon, but if they would have released the Planet Oceans, I think it would have been a 9 or 10 out of 10. A 9 out of 10. There are some criticisms here to be had. But anyways, let me know what you thought about the release. Thank you for joining, and Suave will return.